You know, it's kind of funny. Last time we spoke about this prospect, it was in a combined video with a few other prospects for Detroit. And 2 times before, when we spoke about this same guy, I made a thumbnail that was kind of akin to like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing, because I was saying that this guy's a giant, and you know the story, right? And so, I don't know, we'll see if we go out there and do another sort of thematic fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk fee fi fo fum kind of thing for this video's thumbnail and title. But either way, I wanted to go over some more prospects. I said in the previous video, man, Brennan Othmann, New York Rangers, I'm feeling like a prospects kind of mood today. So let's go over one of the more underrated and more kind of surprising prospects, to be honest, that the Red Wings have in their system that is absolutely dominating the Swedish Hockey League at the moment. Now, if you know exactly who this is, you've seen this guy before in several instances. If you're watching Lucas Raymond a lot, you've probably seen this guy. If you're watching Simon Edvinsson a lot, hey, you've probably seen this guy. If you're watching Raymond and or Edvinsson at either the Frölunda level or the World Junior levels, you have definitely seen this guy as well, because he's always just kind of there. Today we're going over Detroit's tree of a prospect himself, 6'8", 238 pounds as a right-wing, left-wing, left-handed player. This is the 2001-born 20-year-old Elmer Soderblom, taken in the 6th round of the 2019 NHL Entry Draft, 159th overall. Now, the reason why I say you're probably familiar with Soderblom if you've seen any of Raymond and or Edvinsson over the past few years is because Soderblom was drafted out of the Frölunda junior system. He had spent his entire career, since he was like 13, 14 years old, developing in Frölunda's junior hockey program. He started out with the Frölunda Hockey Club U16 second division team in 2014-15, then moved up to the U16 third division team. He played on the regular U16 team, the J18 team, the second J18 team, the J20 team, and eventually playing for the J20 team in the Super Elite. He was drafted in the 19 NHL Entry Draft because he had 17 points in 44 games. Now, that's not the best set of numbers in the world, but of course, you know, there's a lot more to look at when you're talking about Elmer Soderblom than his point production. He's a monster. 6'8" is definitely something you cannot go out there and teach, and that's without skates. So this is a big dude right here, Zdeno Chara 2.0. And it was actually pretty great seeing him get drafted, because immediately after he was drafted, hey, he went out there with a 55-point campaign in 36 games played against other 18, 19, 20-year-olds, which, I mean, that's not really too surprising. He was huge playing against other junior kids, so he went out there, did his thing, was phenomenal, played a stint in the SHL as well, where he did go pointless. He also was pointless in the Allsvenskan stint that he had as well in that year, but 2020, 2021 is really where we started to see more of Soderblom in a very positive light. Not only did he have 5 points in 28 SHL games for Frölunda, which was pretty good, you know, he's 19 years old, suiting up in the top pro men's league in Sweden, but he played for the World Juniors on Team Sweden, and he had 3 points in 5 games played. 2 goals as well, and those 2 goals were both very nice goals and highlights for Red Wings fans to watch, and they all kind of surprised everybody, because one of the goals that he scored, Elmer Soderblom, was right in front of the opposing team's goaltender on the power play. Yeah, he's 6'8". They used him as a net front presence because of course they did. And Soderblom gets the pass, I believe it was from Lucas Raymond, and he goes out there and he goes through the legs to shove it in far side up high on the goalie. Not only did we see the chemistry on display between Soderblom and Detroit's best prospect turned rookie right now in Lucas Raymond, actually no, that's arguable because Mo Seider does exist, but you get the point. There was already some level of chemistry being built up with Raymond and Soderblom over there, not to mention the fact that Simon Edvinsson is a defenseman on that same Frölunda team. So these guys are all kind of coagulated into the same mental picture for me. But this year in 2021, 2022, when you take a look at what Elmer Soderblom has done now that Raymond is gone from this team, it's nothing short of astounding. So far, in the 34-game sample that Soderblom has in the SHL, he's got 20 points, 14 goals, and 6 assists. And I don't really know how to articulate this in a proper way that drives the point home, but the goal production going up to what it is right now, this guy had 3 goals in 28 games last year in the SHL. This year, sure, he's played 6 more games, but he's got 14 goals. How in the heck is this even possible? He's got a boatload more goals than he does assists, and it just appears that everything has gone right for Soderblom here in the SHL, so much to the point that he is indeed the top goal guy amongst U21 players in the league this year. Go over to the SHL and the overall goal production and point production of players in this league. Sure, while Soderblom is not there as one of the top point scorers because he only has 6 assists, he is in the top 10 of the league in total goals scored, with 14. Now you go over onto U21 players and you see where that number is. He is a unanimous first overall. And it's kind of funny because second on the list has 9 goals. This is Emil Heineman from the Calgary Flames system playing for Leksands. You go over to total points as well. Soderblom is the top U21 point producer in the SHL, with second overall being fellow Red Wings prospect Albert Johansson playing for Färjestad on the blue line. You go over onto what Soderblom has done in terms of overall U21 goal scorers in the past 20 years, and you can see that his goal production right now is around the same as guys like Jesper Bokvist, Carl Grundstrom, Samuel Fagemo, and Victor Olofsson. However, the games played is indeed a lot lower, so we're going to go ahead and do the math right here. Let's assume, because I'm looking at this chart, and I see a lot of 40, 50 game seasons out of these U21 players, let's assume that Soderblom plays, 44 games. He's got 14 goals in 34 games right now. 14 divided by 34, multiplied out by 44. He's on pace for 18 goals. Let's say he plays 45 games. There you go. He's on pace for 19 goals, 18.5. If he gets 19 goals on the year, which he's on pace for in 45 games, he would have a better 20-year-old season than guys like Patrick Hornqvist and Jakob Silfverberg in terms of goal production. Now, the assists would be a lot down there because, as we said, he's only got 6 assists on the year, but that's still a really great number to see, and especially since the point per game number, he's got a 0.59 points per game right now. The range in which he's projected to finish in, goal-wise, is somewhat akin to his point production too, because Patrick Hornqvist had a 0.57 point per game metric when he was 20 years old, and Hornqvist became a pretty good NHL player, so right away there's a statistical comparable here that makes a lot of sense, and honestly is kind of good to see, because as we said, Hornqvist was a good player, Silfverberg, great player, Andreas Janssen had his moments, Oskar Lindblom, sure, he had a lot worse moments in his career, cancer is a pretty bad thing, but he's a pretty good player either way, and then you go up the list, of course, Patrick Hornqvist as a 19-year-old was better than Hornqvist as a 20-year-old, Emil Bemstrom is doing his thing in Columbus, and Elias Pettersson is Elias Pettersson. To finish off this video, let's go over to an article here on the Malik Report, a Red Wings blog, roughly translating 20 questions with Elmer Soderblom via Ice Hockey GIFs on Twitter. There's an entire Q&A section that goes over Soderblom and his entire progression and who he idolizes and all that, but I wanted to go over just a few of these answers here because it is kind of funny to just acknowledge the connections over here. The second question on this Q&A is, who was your most difficult opponent to play against in the SHL? Soderblom goes out there and he says last year, it was Moritz Seider of Regla. He was the hardest guy to play. I'm often around the goal and in the corners, and I met him a lot there, and it was tough. So, right away, there's another connection right there. I don't really know if this was, contrived, like he said that because Seider is another Red Wings guy, but just being completely honest and saying, yeah, he's the toughest guy to play against, that's a great sign, isn't it? Especially considering all the awards that Seider had last year and all the star power that was behind his name, it definitely does make sense that even for a 6'8 giant like Elmer Soderblom, Seider was good enough, smart enough, quick enough, big enough to go out there and give him a difficult time. So talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Elmer Soderblom and his entire progression as a prospect here? The goal scoring numbers are fantastic. He is on pace to finish in the same goal rate as guys like Patrick Hornqvist and Jakob Silfverberg, Andreas Janssen, a lot of good players for sure. And the fact that Soderblom is a 6th-round pick in general is, yeah, it kind of makes things even more better, doesn't it? So talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Elmer Soderblom and where he's going to go? I can't wait to see him play probably in the AHL in Grand Rapids. He'll likely make his way over to that team by the time next season rolls around. So let me know in the comments all your thoughts and what you're looking forward to seeing out of Soderblom. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 99, and bye.